On the day Nora Bennett signed her divorce papers, she thought the silence in that Chicago law firm would be the last shock of her life. She had no idea that within weeks her face would be splashed across national headlines, accused of being the secret lover of one of America's richest men. She had no idea her ex-husband would lose everything because of a truth he never bothered to learn. And she certainly didn't know that walking out of that room in total silence would ignite a chain of events powerful enough to rebuild her life from the ground up. The day Nora Bennett officially stopped belonging to Lucas Hartman, downtown Chicago looked almost too perfect for a tragedy. Sunlight slid down the glass towers, catching on the brass door handles of the law firm like it was blessing the building. Inside, where the air smelled like polished wood and expensive cologne, lives were taken apart in quiet voices and neat signatures. Nora sat in the conference room as if she were made of glass that would not break. Beige leather chair, back straight, ankles crossed, hands folded loosely in her lap. Her dress was soft blush pink, simple and clean, the kind of thing you wear when you refuse to perform for anyone anymore. Her dark hair fell in loose waves around her shoulders. She wore no jewelry except the thin gold band on her left hand, and in a few minutes that would be nothing more than metal. She studied the divorce papers like they were someone else's story. Across the polished mahogany table, Lucas exhaled with theatrical boredom and checked his phone for the third time in 5 minutes. 38, tan, carefully groomed blonde hair, razor-sharp beard, Italian suit, flawless Swiss watch. He looked like a finance magazine cover that had come to life. The CFO of Midwest Urban Construction did not look like a man about to lose his wife. He looked like a man about to close another deal. His attorney, a thick-necked guy with a shiny head and a shiny fee, pushed the papers toward Nora. "These are the final terms, Mrs. Hartman, as we discussed." Nora's own lawyer, a nervous kid who still smelled like law school, shifted in his seat. "We can still renegotiate. You don't have to accept this as is." Nora's voice was quiet but steady. "I do." She didn't ask for the condo with the skyline view. She didn't ask for alimony. She didn't even ask for a share of the savings she had watched grow while washing Lucas's shirts by hand to save on dry cleaning. All she asked for was her clothes, her books, and the right to leave. Lucas still could not believe his luck. 7 years of coming home to dinner on the table and a silent woman who never complained. 7 years of watching her fade into the wallpaper because it was convenient for him. And now she was just walking away. No fight, no screaming, no courtroom drama. He had prepared for a war that never came. He had hired a private investigator to dig into her past, rehearsed speeches about what she really deserved, even collected screenshots of her Amazon purchases in case he needed to paint her as financially irresponsible. Instead, she was just signing, page after page, signature after signature. Elegant handwriting, no shaking. He remembered when he met her, almost by accident. A coffee shop at the base of his office tower, where she worked the early shift. She was 24 then, quietly pretty, brown eyes too big for her thin face, rushing between tables with a smile that never reached her eyes but tried anyway. She told him she was studying graphic design at night. He had laughed, told her nobody pays creatives unless they are lucky or famous. "You're smart," he'd said. "You should think about something more practical." What he meant was, be practical about me. She married him in a courthouse ceremony that cost less than his watch. White dress on sale. Her eyes bright with hope. His mind on the meeting he had in an hour. No family on her side, just a friend from work. He didn't want a big wedding. "It's just paperwork," he'd said. It was the first time he turned her dreams into trash with a smile. Within a year, she had dropped out of school to focus on the home. Within 2, she had quit her job because he didn't like his wife serving coffee to other men. By year 3, she had become expert at being invisible. Lucas never asked what she read at night. He never saw the sketchbooks hidden behind the cleaning supplies. He never noticed how often she locked herself in the bathroom to cry quietly so she wouldn't disturb his sleep. But he noticed Kylie. Kylie Reed, 20, loud, hungry for success. An intern who laughed too loudly at his jokes and let her hand drift a little too long on his shoulder in the break room. He told himself it was harmless, just fun. 2 years later, they were sharing hotel rooms paid with the company cards and telling each other they were meant to be. When Nora finally confronted him 3 months ago, she was holding his phone in both hands like it was a live grenade. Her voice shook. "How long, Lucas?" He rolled his eyes and told the truth like it was a joke. "Does it matter?" He had expected a fight, plates shattering against walls, neighbors calling the cops, tears and threats, maybe even a dramatic slap for effect. Instead, she just stood there, shoulders trembling, then said the 8 words that ended their marriage. "Do you want a divorce? Yes or no?" He said yes. Told her it was better for both of us. She nodded, picked up a pillow and a blanket, and moved into the guest room without another word. From that night until today, they barely spoke except about logistics. Now here they were. She signed the last page. The room went still in that strange humming way expensive rooms do when something invisible has changed. Then Nora did something that made Lucas's chest tighten, just for a second. She slid her wedding band off her finger and placed it on the table. It landed with a tiny metallic click, a sound no one else would remember, but that would echo in his mind later when it was too late. She stood, picked up her bag, and finally looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in months. There was no rage in her eyes, no begging, no desperation, just a calm so deep it was almost frightening, and beneath it something that looked disturbingly like pity. "Goodbye, Lucas," she said. She didn't say it like a woman losing everything. She said it like someone stepping off a sinking ship and onto solid ground. Before he could reply, she walked out of the conference room. The door closed behind her with a soft click. Lucas leaned back and let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. A grin tugged at his lips. "Well," he said, turning to his lawyer, "that went better than expected." Outside on the street, Nora walked 3 blocks before her legs finally stopped shaking. The warm air felt wrong on her skin. People passed her by, just another woman in a pink dress with a handbag nobody cared about. Her phone was already in her hand. Her thumb hovered once, then she dialed the number she knew by heart now, a number Lucas had never seen. "It's done," she said when the line clicked open. Her voice broke on the last word. "It's over." "Stay where you are," a deep, steady voice answered. "I'm coming to get you." 10 minutes later, a black Mercedes pulled up at the curb, the kind of car Lucas would have killed for his boss to see him step out of. The tinted window rolled down. "Nora," the driver said, his face easing into a smile that carried something Lucas never offered her. Genuine warmth. "Get in. You're not walking anywhere alone today." She climbed into the back seat, fingers still tingling from the pen, from the ring, from the finality of what she had just done. As the city blurred past the windows, she let her forehead rest against the cool glass and finally allowed one thought to surface. 7 years ago, she had married a man to escape poverty and loneliness. Today, she had divorced him with nothing but her clothes, her books, and a secret that would soon rearrange his entire world. If you were Nora, would you have walked out of that room in total silence the way she did? Yes or no? The Mercedes glided through downtown traffic, and for the first time in years, Nora didn't feel the urge to disappear into her seat. She watched the city rush by, glass towers melting into quiet residential blocks, her heart slowly adjusting to freedom, like lungs relearning how to breathe. When the car turned into the quiet, tree-lined streets of Lincoln Park, she finally exhaled. The townhouse ahead was elegant but warm, with ivy climbing its brick walls and soft light spilling through tall windows. Charles Whitmore stepped out the front door before the car even stopped. He wasn't dressed like the billionaire tabloids love to dissect. No suit, no polished facade. Just a man in his 50s with tired eyes, soft graying hair, and the unmistakable relief of someone who finally had family again. The moment Nora stepped out, Charles pulled her into a tight, steady embrace. For a second, she didn't move. Then the tension dissolved and her hands clutched his shirt as tears spilled freely down her cheeks. They weren't sad tears. They weren't even angry tears. They were release. They were everything she had held inside for 7 silent years. "You did it," Charles murmured, resting his chin gently on her head. "I'm proud of you." Nora trembled. "I kept thinking I would fall apart." "You didn't," he said. "You walked away with dignity most people never learn to carry." Inside, the townhouse felt nothing like Lucas's sterile condo. Warm light, soft rugs, a faint scent of cedar and old books. It felt lived in, not curated for show. Charles led her to the kitchen where a kettle whistled softly on the stove. "You never have to go back there," he said quietly, pouring hot water into a mug. "You are safe now." Nora wrapped her hands around the cup, letting the heat steady her. "Safe," she whispered, tasting the word like something she wasn't sure belonged to her yet. Charles leaned against the counter, watching her carefully. "Have you thought about what comes next?" Nora's fingers tightened on the ceramic. She had thought about it. At night in the guest room, staring at the ceiling. In the shower where no one could hear her crying. At the grocery store where being invisible was easier than being seen. "I want to finish school," she said finally. "I want to design again. I want to have a future that comes from me, not from what someone else lets me have." Charles smiled and there was raw pride in it. "Good. Then you'll start in the design department next Monday. Part-time until classes begin. You'll shadow our senior team. Learn the business from the inside." Nora blinked, stunned. Charles, I can't just walk into Whitmore hotels and take whatever job I want. People will think I'm using your name. I said I wanted to earn things on my own. Then you will, he said, but you can't earn what you're not allowed to touch. You don't need my name. You have talent. I'm just opening a door that should have been open for you years ago. The truth of that settled warm and painful inside her. Her mother would have cried to see this moment. Her father too, she hoped. She lifted the mug and let the steam hide her trembling smile. Later that afternoon, Charles brought out the letter, the one that had changed everything, the one Nora had read so many times she could recite it. Her father's handwriting was clumsy but earnest, each stroke heavy with hope for a future he never lived to see. She touched the paper, tracing the loops of the signature. I still can't believe he never knew, she whispered. He would have loved you, Charles said. You have his eyes, his quiet strength. Strength, the word felt foreign, but it no longer felt wrong. As evening settled over the city, Nora stood by the living room window, watching headlights drift along the street. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. It was Lucas. The preview alone tightened her throat. Tell me the truth. Were you seeing him while we were married? You owe me that much. Nora didn't answer right away. For years, she had reacted before she thought. Now she simply breathed, counted to 5. Let the question sit in the space between who she had been and who she was becoming. Finally, she typed a single reply. My life is no longer yours to question. I wish you well. She set the phone down, and to her surprise, she felt nothing but relief, no trembling, no fury, no lingering ache for someone who never knew her. Charles approached quietly. Trouble? No, she said, not anymore. He nodded, then handed her a folder. This is your new apartment. Keys, security access, lease already signed. Nora opened it, expecting a sterile luxury penthouse. Instead, she found a modest one-bedroom overlooking a park, warm hardwood floors, sunlight in every photo. A place that looked like someone could breathe in it. You picked this for me? Charles shrugged. You deserve a place where you feel home, not displayed. For the second time that day, her eyes burned. That night, she moved in. The space smelled faintly of new paint and possibility. She unpacked slowly, placing her books on the shelves, her sketchbooks in a drawer, her mother's worn scarf over the back of a chair. And when she finally lay down on the bed, exhaustion pulling her under, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Across the city, in a sleek apartment that suddenly felt too large, Lucas sat alone while Kylie scrolled through her phone beside him. She stopped when she saw the headline. America's most eligible billionaire seen with mystery woman. In Chicago, is Charles Whitmore off the market? She shrieked. Lucas, isn't that your ex? His blood ran cold, because on the screen, Nora appeared in a red dress he had never seen, laughing, radiant, alive in a way she had never been in their marriage. And Charles stood beside her, his hand on her back in a way that was familial to anyone who understood the truth, but something very different to anyone who didn't. Lucas stared, throat tightening. It wasn't love, it wasn't jealousy, it was something far uglier. It was the first flicker of fear that he had never truly known the woman he discarded. And worse, that she had slipped out of his control so quietly, was also quietly, he hadn't even noticed she was gone. He didn't sleep that night. Nora did. As the morning light filled her new apartment, she stood barefoot in the kitchen, sunlight warming her face. She brewed coffee slowly, savoring the scent, the comfort, the silence. Her world was small but hers. For once, that felt like enough. She didn't know that the story was about to explode, that headlines would multiply, that faces she didn't know would discuss her life, that Lucas's world would soon tilt so violently he wouldn't know where the ground was. She only knew that for the first time in years, she woke up feeling like someone who mattered. And maybe, she thought as she stepped onto her small balcony overlooking the park, that was the beginning of everything she had ever wanted. If you were in Nora's place, would you have answered Lucas's message the same way she did? Yes or no? The headlines spread faster than Nora could imagine. By sunrise, her name was everywhere. Mystery woman, secret romance, billionaire's new love. Photos of her walking beside Charles on Michigan Avenue, plastered across every gossip site, every morning show thumbnail, every push notification. She sat at her small kitchen table, hands wrapped around her mug, staring at the screen in disbelief. Her cheeks warmed with embarrassment, but beneath the shock was something stranger. She did not feel fear. She did not feel shame. She felt in control for the first time in her life. Even as the story spun wildly around her, Charles arrived at her apartment an hour later, wearing a baseball cap and the expression of a man who had been awake since dawn. Well, he said with a sigh as he stepped inside, I suppose this means we need to talk to the press before the press talks for us. Nora's stomach dropped. Do we have to? Only if you want the truth out there, he said gently. Otherwise, people will decide your story for you. I won't let that happen again. Not to another Bennett. She hesitated, then nodded. She didn't want fame. She didn't want attention. She wanted ownership over her own life. She had already lost too many years to silence. The press conference that followed was nothing like the chaotic headlines predicted. It was quiet, dignified, controlled. Charles stepped up to the podium as cameras flashed and journalists whispered. Nora stood beside him, shoulders squared, chin lifted, refusing to shrink. I am not announcing a relationship, Charles began. I am announcing family. He paused, allowing the room to settle before continuing. Nora Bennett is my niece, the daughter of my late brother Robert. We only discovered each other recently, and the past months have been a gift I never expected. The room burst into questions, but the most explosive narratives vanished instantly. No scandal, no betrayal, no secret affair, just the uncovering of a family that had been separated by decades in silence. Nora spoke only briefly, thanking the press for their understanding, asking for privacy, and clarifying that her career at Whitmore Hotels was built on talent, not blood. When they left the conference room, Charles squeezed her shoulder. I told Robert I would take care of the people he loved. Didn't expect it to happen this way, but I meant it. Life shifted quickly after that. There were interviews, brand requests, invitations to events, all of which Nora declined. She didn't want a spotlight. She wanted a foundation. She wanted to stand on her own feet for the first time. At Whitmore Hotels, she quietly rose through the design department. Her first project was a boutique renovation in Seattle. She worked late into the nights, sketching ideas, learning from senior designers, absorbing every detail. And that was how she met Adam Walker. Adam had the kind of presence that made everyone relax without knowing why. Calm voice, thoughtful eyes, a sense of steadiness that felt shockingly unfamiliar to Nora. The first time they debated wallpaper colors, she rolled her eyes and he laughed, and something warm settled in her chest. Over months, dinners turned into long walks turned into late-night calls, and late-night calls turned into a love that didn't demand quiet or permission. Adam never asked her to shrink. He asked her to be more honest, more joyful, more herself. A year after their first meeting, he proposed on a quiet stretch of the Seattle waterfront. No crowd, no cameras, just a simple ring and a man speaking to her heart instead of her fear. Nora said yes without hesitation. The wedding took place in Harborview, Maine, on a cliff overlooking the Atlantic. Soft wind, salt air, a satin ribbon of sunlight spread across the waves. The ceremony was small, filled with the people who had earned their way into her life with kindness. Charles walked her down the aisle, wiping his eyes shamelessly. When he placed her hand in Adam's, he whispered, "Your father would be proud, Nora. So proud." During the vows, Adam promised to see her, truly see her, every day they shared. Nora promised to build a life with him that honored who she had been and who she was becoming. Her voice didn't tremble. Her words didn't falter. She was not invisible anymore. She was present. She was whole. Far away in Chicago, in a small rental room cluttered with rejection letters and half-packed boxes, Lucas Hartman watched the wedding photos online. There was no anger left in him. No resentment. Only the hollow ache of a man who finally understood the weight of what he had lost. He had not lost her money or her fame or her connection to Charles Whitmore. He had lost the chance to be a better man with the woman who once would have given him everything. 3 years later, Nora sat on the porch of her small home in Harborview, rocking gently as her daughter slept in her arms. The toddler had her father's smile and her mother's quiet curiosity. Charles visited often, always bringing a new children's book and a gentle reminder that family, real family, was built on love, not perfection. One afternoon, a letter arrived in the mail. No return address, no dramatic opener, just Lucas's handwriting. Inside, he wrote not to seek forgiveness, not to beg, but simply to say he understood. He had spent years in therapy, years rebuilding a life without ego, years learning how to treat others with care instead of control. He thanked her for the silence she had given him at the divorce table, because that silence had forced him to meet himself honestly for the first time. Nora folded the letter and placed it in a small wooden box beside her father's old note, her wedding invitation, and Adam's first scribbled love message. She didn't reply. She didn't need to. The past had finally stopped trying to claim her. As evening fell and the sky turned pink over the Atlantic, Nora held her daughter close and whispered a truth she had learned slowly and painfully. Some beginnings look like endings. Some endings save your life. She walked inside, closing the door on the past and opening herself fully to the life she had chosen, the life she had built, the life she had finally earned. If Nora's journey made you feel something today, would you like to hear more stories like hers? Yes or no? If you enjoyed this one, feel free to comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Tell me which country you're watching from and share this video so more people can experience this journey with us.